Jayo Radha Madhava Jayo Kunja Bihari. Jayo Gopi Jana Vallabha Jayo Girivaradari Jayo Girivaradari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Jayo Girivaradari Jayo Girivaradari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayo Radha Madhav, Radha Madhav, Radha Madhav, Jayo Radha Madhav. Jayo Panchatattva, 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 Jayo Panchatattva, Jayo. Nisimhadev, 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 Jaya Jaya Nisimhadev. Jayo Prabhupada, 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 Śrīla Prabhupada. Shri Radhamadava Sakis ki jai, Shri Panchatattva ki jai, Shri Nrsimhadev Bhagavan ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai, Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parvyajakacharya Shotara Shota Shishimad His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Mahārāja Prabhupada ki jai, Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parvyajakacharya Shotara Shota Shishimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai, Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Namacharya Śrīla Haridas Thakur ki jai, ISKCON founder Acharya Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Prem se kako Śrī Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Śrī Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyam Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Mathura Dham ki jai. Navadvip Dham ki jai. Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai. Gangamai Yamunamai ki jai. Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi ki jai. Sankirtan Yagya ki jai. Samaveta Bhattavinda ki jai. Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru Gauranga. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we are reading from Srimad-Bhāgavatam, Canto number 3, Canto 2, Chapter 3, verse number 16. Vaiyāsakiś cha bhagavān vasureva-parāyaṇaḥ urugāya-guṇodārāḥ satāṁ syur samāgame vaiyāsakiś bhagavānam vaiyāsakiś bhagavānam Vasudeva-parāyaṇaḥ Vasudeva-parāyaṇaḥ urugāya-guṇodārāḥ urugāya-guṇodārāḥ satāṁ syur samāgame satāṁ syur samāgame vaiyāsakiś bhagavānam Vasudeva-parāyaṇaḥ urugāya-guṇodārāḥ satāṁ syur samāgame vaiyāsakiś bhagavān Vasudeva-parāyaṇaḥ, urugāya-guṇodārāḥ, satāṁ syuḥ samāgame. Prabhus. Vaiyāsakiś bhagavān. Bhagavān Vasudeva-parāyaṇaḥ, urugāya-guṇodārāḥ, satāṁ syur samāgame. Matajis. Vaiyāsakiś bhagavān. Vaiyāsakiḥ, the son of Vyāsadeva. Cha, also. Bhagavān, full of transcendental knowledge. Vasudeva, Lord Kṛṣṇa. Parāyaṇaḥ, attached to. Urugāya, of the personality of Godhead Śrī Kṛṣṇa, who is glorified by great philosophers. Guṇa-udārāḥ, great qualities. Satām, of the devotees. Syur, must have been. He, as a matter of fact. Samāgame, by the presence of. Translation. Śukadeva Gosvāmī, the son of Vyāsadeva, was also full of transcendental knowledge and was a great devotee of Lord Kṛṣṇa, son of Vasudeva. So, there must have been discussion of Lord Kṛṣṇa, who is glorified by great philosophers and the company of great devotees. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The word Satām is very important in this verse. Satām means the pure devotees, who have no other desires than to serve the Lord. Only in the association of such devotees are the transcendental glories of Lord Kṛṣṇa properly discussed. It is said by the Lord that his topics are all full of spiritual significance, and once one properly hears about him in the association of Satām, certainly one senses the great potency and so automatically attains to the devotional stage of life. As already described, Mahārāja Parīkṣit was a great devotee of the Lord from his very birth, and so was Śukadeva Gosvāmī. Both of them were on the same level, although it appeared that Mahārāja Parīkṣit was a great king accustomed to royal facilities, whereas Śukadeva Gosvāmī was a typical renouncer of the world, so much so that he did not even put a cloth on his body. Superficially, Mahārāja Parīkṣit and Śukadeva Gosvāmī may seem to be opposites, but basically, they were both unalloyed pure devotees of the Lord. When such devotees are assembled together, there can be no topics save discussions of the glories of the Lord or bhakti-yoga. In the Bhagavad-gītā also, where there were talks between the Lord and his devotee Arjuna, there could not be any topic other than bhakti-yoga. However, the mundane scholars may speculate on it in their own ways. The use of the word cha after vaiyāsakiḥ suggests, according to Śrīla Jīva Gosvāmī, that both Śukadeva Gosvāmī and Mahārāja Parīkṣit were of the same category, settled long before, although one was playing the part of master and the other of a disciple. Since Lord Kṛṣṇa is the center of the topics, the word Vasudeva-parāyaṇaḥ, or devotee of Vasudeva, suggests devotee of Lord Kṛṣṇa, the common name. Although there were many others who assembled at the place where Mahārāja Parīkṣit was fasting, the natural conclusion is that there were no topic other than the glorification of Lord Kṛṣṇa, because the principal speaker was Śukadeva Gosvāmī and the chief audience was Mahārāja Parīkṣit. So Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, as it was spoken and heard by two principal devotees of the Lord, is only for the glorification of Supreme Lord, the Personality of Godhead, Śrī Kṛṣṇa. Translation one more time. Śukadeva Gosvāmī, the son of Vyāsadeva, was also full of transcendental knowledge and was a great devotee of Lord Kṛṣṇa, son of Vasudeva. So, there must have been discussion of Lord Kṛṣṇa, who is glorified by great philosophers and in the company of great devotees. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishna Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti-vedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Irvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, thank you very much for coming this cold morning. So, as explained in the purport of Srila Prabhupada, the Satām, the word Satām, means the pure devotee. And pure devotee, actually the real meaning of the word pure devotee, two words, is that it doesn't have any other desire than to serve the Lord. Only in the association of such devotees and in their, when we are present on the gatherings when such devotees are telling the stories from Srimad-Bhāgavatam, from Bhagavad-gītā, those topics are properly discussed. Everything else are good attempts, but association of pure devotees is bringing even transcendental pastimes on the higher level, and we are getting maximum benefit. That's why when Mahārāja Parīkṣit was in his last days, he was getting by great arrangements of Lord Kṛṣṇa, he was getting the best possible spiritual master, Śukadeva Gosvāmī, who appeared in the right place on the right time, and he gave the best pure knowledge to Mahārāja Parīkṣit. In this case, it's explained that both of them were Satām, and this is the topic of today's class, that we will discuss about 9 processes of devotional service, and especially putting light on the first 2, Shravanam and Kirtanam. Then it means chanting and hearing. So the use of the word cha after vaiyāsakiś is suggesting actually, and it's written in the purport, that's according to Śrīla Jīva Gosvāmī, that both of them were on the same category. Although Mahārāja Parīkṣit was a king and he lived in the palace and he was having all different opulences. We know even that he was going for hunting in the forest, right, when the whole incident occurred when he got cursed. And Śukadeva Gosvāmī, on the other end, he was a renowned sadhu who was just residing in some secluded places, who didn't want so much association of those who doesn't speak transcendental topics. And still, according to Srila Prabhupada, they were on the same level, because they were the perfect teller and the perfect listener. And even they were using 2 different ways to approach to the Lord and to serve the Lord, which we will discuss further. Now, as you know, it was not just Mahārāja Parīkṣit and Śukadeva Gosvāmī who were perfect examples for different principles of devotional service. We also had Prahlāda Mahārāja. Prahlāda Mahārāja, he attained salvation by remembering of the Lord. Then we have the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Devi. She performed the worshipping of the lotus feet of the God, and this is where she was finding her way of serving the Lord perfectly. Then Prithu Mahārāja was worshipping the deities and the deity of the Lord, and this was also one of the principles. And then we have Akrura, who got salvation by offering the prayers. And then we have Hanuman, who was the best example for devotee rendering the service for the Lord. And then we have Arjuna. Arjuna, what was? He was the best friend. He was the friend of Krishna, and he attained salvation through friendship. And we have Bali Maharaj also, who was offering literally everything to the service of the Lord. And actually, explanation of 9 processes of devotional service we found in Srimad-Bhāgavatam, and it was told by Prahlāda Maharaj. This is in the 7th canto, and chapter number 5, 23 and 24 verses, where Prahlāda Maharaj is saying that we have hearing, and chanting about transcendental name, form, qualities, paraphernalia, and pastimes of Lord Vishnu, and then remembering them, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, offering the Lord respective worship, 16 types of paraphernalia, offering prayers to the Lord, becoming his servant, considering the Lord one's best friend, and surrendering everything unto him. These 9 processes are accepted as pure devotional service. And by performing some of those or all of them at the same time, trying to perform on the best possible, will definitely bring us on the high level of consciousness. Now, from the purport of this verse in Srimad-Bhāgavatam, it's also said that a pure devotee is interested only in devotional service. And pure devotee is not at all interested in material affairs. So, to execute devotional service, the person who are devotee or who wants to become a devotee, because being a devotee is very high level. We easily sometimes call each other devotees, but being devotee is one very high level of consciousness, and most of us are candidates to become a devotees. So the point is that one should always engage in hearing and chanting about Krishna, about the Lord Kṛṣṇa. And he should try to avoid any other topics as much as possible. And the pure devotees, they avoid them completely, entirely. Those who are not on that level, they're trying to avoid as much as possible, because definitely contamination comes after hearing about something which is not pure. After performing sacrifices, we have 2 different ways of people who are trying to surrender to the Lord. Those who want to get the benefit out of surrendering to the Lord, they're doing different sacrifices, they're offering different fruitive activities to the Lord, then they're giving donations, they're doing different kind of activities which will bring them the benefit and also get them closer to the Lord. But devotees, they do opposite. They first offer their mind and body and words to the Lord, and then after that, they're serving all of that for the sacrifice of Lord Kṛṣṇa, for the service, for the benefit of the Lord. And they're surrendering completely. So there are 2 opposite ways of surrendering. Those who are offering fruitive activities, they don't surrender mind, body, and words. They use mind, body, and words for them also, for enjoyment, for improving their life. And then they offer certain things to the Lord. Devotees, they first offer mind, body, and words, and then Krishna is using all of that for his pleasure and for the service of other who's supposed to receive the mercy. So this is the difference between 2, and this is how we can recognize who is on which path, who is actually on the path of devotional service. So basically devotees, another name for devotees is Bhagavati Ada, or Bhagavati Ada. Those are actually personalities who are offering everything to Vishnu, or who are trying to offer everything to Lord Vishnu. So basically whatever we do during the day, we can offer to the Lord. It doesn't matter, actually, it's not that we have to go to some cave in Himalayas and just surrender and just chant and pray. No, any activity we're doing during the day, we don't need to stop doing activities, as Srila Prabhupada mentioned many times. We just need to transform them. We need to add Krishna into equation and to have the perfect activity and to have the perfect offer to the Lord. So this is the process of devotional service. This is actually the Sankirtan. So fruitive workers, first that they perform the pious activities, and then they offer, as we said, results to the Lord Vishnu. And this is probably the beginning of spiritual life for most of us also. That first we are carefully approaching to the Lord, but then gradually when we get connection with the Lord, then we start surrendering. Today, as I said, we will talk about Shravanam and Kirtanam. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he offered very interesting explanation, very deep explanation about what is Shravanam. Shravanam refers to giving the oral reception of the holy name and descriptions of the Lord's form, qualities, entourage and pastimes as explained in Srimad-Bhāgavatam, Bhagavad-gītā and similar authorized scriptures. And then after somebody receives such a message, he's supposed to memorize according to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and to repeat, which is then called kirtan. So kirtan doesn't mean now we have famous kirtan melas and so many different performers. When we hear kirtan, we're thinking about good bhajan or dancing. But kirtan also means repeating the verses or singing the verses. You know, in the previous yugas, whoever was repeating the verses, there was not just repeating like us, we memorize a little bit and then daga 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 dehinos meinyata. No, they were singing. They were literally singing. Śukadeva Gosvāmī was one of the best performers of reciting and singing the verses. And that's why everybody wanted to hear from him. That's why he was on such amazing level, because he was not just repeating the words. Through his words, you could actually see the pastimes, because he was a witness. We will talk about that. So, let's start first with Mahārāja Parīkṣit. Mahārāja Parīkṣit, as you all know, was the son of Abhimanyu, and Abhimanyu was the son of Arjuna, the friend on the battleship of Lord Kṛṣṇa, and somebody who was very close, and another person that we mentioned is a perfect example in the process of nine devotional services. And during the battle of Kurukshetra, Parīkṣit was still in the womb of his mother, Uttara. So he was there already. But inside, yes, she was pregnant. And at the end of the war, Ashvatthama, the son of Dronacharya, he actually tried to kill Mahārāja Parīkṣit while he was still in the womb by sending Brahmastra, that very powerful weapon that they were using. And Krishna then entered, again, as you all know, but it's very nice to repeat, Krishna entered in the womb of Uttara, Mother Uttara, and he saved Mahārāja Parīkṣit. And after he became the king of the world later. Basically, they're saying that he's perfect example of ideal king, because there was no criminal during his king, when he was a king. There was no any bad activities. There was very auspicious performance everywhere around the kingdom. And people who were living in his kingdom were very happy, very satisfied with his protection. After the Pandavas left the material world, Mahārāja Parīkṣit, he was actually performing very auspicious activities even when he was a child. There is explanation when he was a very small boy, he was playing only with dolls which resemble to the Lord Kṛṣṇa. He was doing different auspicious activities. So it's not that he wanted to become a king. Actually, he took it as a responsibility because he was in the line. But actually what he wanted all the time from beginning was just to serve the Lord. So yes, he had opulence, he was having so many material benefits, but he was very detached from all of them. And even there is explanation when after he found out that he got cursed, when he went in the forest, and when he was going to, they went for hunting, and then he was, he was very hungry, he wanted to drink water, then he went to the hermitage, to the cave of Shamika Rishi. Shamika Rishi was performing his meditation, and he could not get on time his water, so basically he put the dead snake on the shoulder of Shamika Rishi, and after the son of Shamika Rishi saw that, he got cursed that after 7 days he gonna bite by bird snake and he will leave his body. After Mahārāja Parīkṣit received that news, there is explanation that he was very happy. He was very peaceful and very happy, and instead of trying to protect himself, trying to lock in some room, trying to put, different, to close the kingdom that no one single bird snake doesn't come inside. No, he was accepting everything. He started getting detached from all material wellness. He went to the river Ganges and he sit there and he start meditating on the Lord and hoping that some holy person will come and elevate his consciousness and answer to all his questions. And he started also fasting up to the last day. He stopped drinking water, he stopped taking food. And of course, Krishna helped by making the perfect arrangement. First, some other sages start coming, surrounding him, and then finally the Śukadeva Gosvāmī came. And there is explanation also that he accepts Śukadeva Gosvāmī as his spiritual master. And after that, he started asking questions, and Śukadeva Gosvāmī was chanting the Srimad-Bhāgavatam to him. Now, about Śukadeva Gosvāmī, because this whole verse is mostly about Śukadeva Gosvāmī. This is our main focus today. Is as you also know, in Śukadeva Gosvāmī, in the previous life, he was a parrot, and he was not just ordinary parrot. He was the parrot who was the personal parrot of Srimati Radharani, and he was the one who was always transferring messages from Srimati Radharani to Lord Kṛṣṇa. Basically, Srimati Radhi tell Shuka something, and then the parrot is going. He found Lord Kṛṣṇa, and he's repeating exactly. Why is important that he was a parrot? Why is important for us? Because this is actually the way how we're supposed to present philosophy. Exactly how we hear, this is what we have to talk, what we have to speak, without adding. Parrots, they don't have ability to add words. If you tell them, 3 words, they will repeat exactly 3 words on the same way how they heard it. And that's why the Shuka was the perfect messenger, because he didn't twist words of Srimati Radharani. He was telling to Lord Kṛṣṇa exactly her words, and Kṛṣṇa knew this is Srimad from Srimati Radharani. And there was no chance that he will say something else which will have different kind of meaning. After Srimati Radharani wanted to leave the planet, after the time came that she has to go back to spiritual world, Shuka was very sad. He was telling Srimati Radha, I want to go with you. I don't know what to do. I don't have anything to do without you on this world. And Srimati Radharani was telling, no, you should stay a little bit longer for the benefit of people who are on the planet. And Shuka was refusing. He was saying, no way. If you're not here, I cannot stay. And then Srimati Radharani, of course, told him, well, everywhere where there is discussion about transcendental pastimes of Lord Kṛṣṇa and his other associates, you will have my presence as well. You will feel my presence. I'll be there with you. And go and find places where such performances are going on, and you will have the same feeling like I'm with you. And this is what Shuka was doing. He was going around, flying around, and trying to find different places, different holy places where there were different discussions, different topics about the Lord. So finally he came to the cave where Lord Shiva started telling Srimad-Bhāgavatam to his wife Parvati. So he was reciting and he was in very deep meditation. And every few minutes basically Parvati Mataji, she was telling, giving different sounds to Lord Shiva. And that he knew that she's listening carefully, but after some time, after a few chapters, Lord Shiva was in so deep meditation, he didn't even notice what's happening around. She fell asleep accidentally. And Shuka, he was on the tree. They were under the tree. And Shuka was hidden somewhere in branches, between leaves. And he was looking and he figured out, oh, Krishna, if Lord Shiva find out that Parvati is sleeping, he's going to stop performing, chanting Srimad-Bhāgavatam. I have to do something about it. Then what he did, he started imitating Parvati. He started, making the same sounds, like, every few minutes. So Lord Shiva, he understood, okay, Parvati is carefully listening, so he continued to chant Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And on the end, almost on the end of chanting, Parvati, she waked up and she started apologizing to Lord Shiva, and he was wondering, why are you apologizing? You are listening all the time. And she said, no, I was sleeping. I'm sorry, my Lord. And then Shiva was saying, well, if you didn't make those sounds, somebody else must be around. And he was looking around, he was checking, he could not find it. Finally, in one corner, he saw parrot looking towards them, and he got very angry. Because actually, even hearing Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, for the hearing, for the listening, we need to be in the right consciousness, in the right mindset. And he was thinking, this is just a parrot. You know, this is the lower consciousness. So basically, now offense was made to Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. I need to kill him. And then Shiva started going after Shuka, and he was running, and he tried to escape. And as you all know, the story comes that finally Shuka came in the hermitage of Śrīla Vyāsadeva, and Śrīla Vyāsadeva was always also chanting Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam to his wife. And while he was chanting, she also, in one moment, she started, you know, expanding the air, and in that moment, the Shuka entered inside of her mouth, and he changed, he transformed, and she became pregnant with their, he became, you know, like son, unmanifested son of Śrīla Vyāsadeva. Now, very interesting thing about Śukadeva Gosvāmī, that he was completely detached from this world. He didn't want to come out. He stayed there, as all you know, 16 years. He didn't come out of the womb of his mother. And Śrīla Vyāsadeva many times asked him, please come out, please come. And he was in denial all the time. We have another example that's interesting, what I was reading, that person who stayed even much longer than that, and that's Prahlad Mahārāja. You know, anybody knows how long Prahlad Mahārāja was staying in the womb of his mother? According to some explanation, 60,000 years he was there inside. Yeah, but I will just confirm that that's right, because this is just according to 3 different books that I found. But it was very interesting for me to hear that as well. In any case, he was staying 16 years in the womb, and then finally, Śrīla Vyāsadeva was in Badrinath at that time. He's Badrinarayan, and he was performing different duties there. And then it was just too much. His wife was in so much of pain, and the boy was growing in size, so her stomach was bigger and bigger. He was 16-year-old boy inside already. And then he decided, okay, I really need to pray to my dear Lord. Krishna was in Dvaraka at that time, and he was praying to the Lord, please, my dear Lord, if you can help, please convince my son. I know he's a special soul, but please convince him to come out. So the Krishna appeared in front of Śukadeva Gosvāmī, and he was asking, can you please go out? Your mother is in the big pain. And he was saying, no, I'm not going out. I like here. Nobody's disturbing me. You know, I can meditate. You know, I will stay here until the end of my life. And then Krishna was saying, well, I don't think that's a good idea. You know, what you want me to do for you to be able to go out? And he was saying, well, if there is no Maya around completely, then I'm willing to come out. And since Krishna, he could not immediately arrange that full Maya just disappear entirely from the planet for all the time, like for the rest of his life, he was saying, okay, let us try to make a deal. I will make that for a couple of moments Maya disappear, basically how much time it takes to take the master seed and to put on the top of cow's horn, and how long that seed will stay on the top of the cow's horn. That much time there will not be Maya around. And this is what he did. He took the master seed, he put it at the top of the cow horn, and this was just basically a few seconds. In those few seconds, Śukadeva Gosvāmī just came out and he started running and he disappeared in jungle. And Śrīla Vyāsadeva was, son, my son, stop, wait, come back. No, Śukadeva Gosvāmī just disappeared because one of the last things that he told actually Lord Kṛṣṇa was that he didn't want that once he comes out that everybody will start talking, oh, this is my son, oh, this is my baby, oh, this is my nephew, oh, such a great, all family, friends, all these material attachments will come, and he was completely detached. His only interest was to hear about the Lord and to spread the glories of the Lord. Nothing else. Nothing else wasn't his interest. He was the perfect example of Shravanam and Kirtana. And this is the great story of Śukadeva Gosvāmī, or the parrot Shuka, who gave us mercy by telling the Srimad-Bhāgavatam to Mahārāja Parīkṣit on the Ganges river, on the bank of Ganges. So there is one interesting story I want to tell you, and I will explain the reason why I think it's very interesting for us to hear that story. Just I need to find it exactly so that I don't do some speculation myself, my own. Anyway, basically, for many of us, sometimes it's more interesting to hear different news or different gossip and different things, because philosophy we are hearing all the time and we are trying our best, but our mind is always looking for something fresh and different in our lives. And that also, make us sometimes to fall down, and then we need to get up and recover and continue and move on. And although we are in the perfect environment here, we are in Shimayapur Dham. This is the holiest of the holy places on the planet at the moment, and you cannot find a better place to perform devotional service in the whole planet Earth. Still, sometimes that's not enough, especially after, they discover internet and social networks and everything else. So we are filling our mind with different news, with different talks, with different things. That's why we need to recover from all these ups and downs. And there is one interesting story that I found that actually saying what we're supposed to do once we feel weak, once we fell down, how to recover and how to go back. There was a spiritual master and his disciple, and spiritual master was telling disciple that they have to go to visit one secluded holy place in the mountains, but there was no road at all. So they had to go to the jungle, straight to the jungle. And they were going for several days and nights, and master was heading first, and he was very safely going one step after another, and disciple was behind him. But disciple, he didn't know the road very well, so every few steps he was basically falling down, and then he comes up, and then he started cursing, telling some bad words sometime, then again he continued, and finally after days and days they finally came to the temple, to their final destination. And master was saying, are you happy with the journey? And disciple was just looking at him, and he was saying, master was saying, okay, now it's our time to go back. And disciple was, we're going back? We just came. And then he told honestly his spiritual master, I need to tell you I'm very disappointed with you because I didn't learn anything from you. I'm just walking and falling down, and look, I have so many scars, and you didn't teach me anything. And teacher was turning and he was saying, actually, I tried to teach you a very important lesson, but you were not that careful. And he was telling him, every time when you're falling down, you should ask yourself, what is the reason why I fell down? So gradually you will perform less and less mistakes, because next time the same thing will not repeat, because you will know already. And in one moment you will stop falling down. Instead of that, every time you were thinking about your bad luck. When you come up, you were thinking, oh, again I fell down, oh, again I fell down, let me recover. So that's why you want to give up. So basically he was telling I was trying to teach you what is the right mood when we are on the edge to fall down, on the edge to lose the most important thing that we have in our life. And the right mood, the right way is actually to figure out what we are doing wrong and to come back in the right section, in the right mindset, and to continue our devotional service. And it's not wrong to sometimes to make mistakes. It's not wrong sometimes to fall down. But what we have to do, what is right, is soon as possible to recover and continue. The best way actually to recover is Shravanam and Kirtanam. So to be able to perform Kirtanam, to be able to tell others about Lord, we have to learn about Lord first. We have to do Shravanam. And the best way of doing Shravanam is actually to learn from the best source. Fortunately for us, the Srila Prabhupada left us amazing books, and they are written on the perfect way. They have the perfect verses, they have the perfect translations, they have the perfect purports. Only what we have to do basically is to take them in our hands, and we will have the perfect speaker telling us about Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. We have to read them. And that was also the reason why Srila Prabhupada was saying, please distribute my books all around the world, and everybody will get benefit of it. And everybody will get the best blessing. Because it's not same if I tell somebody about Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam or if they hear directly from Srila Prabhupada and Srila Vyāsadeva and others who had actually the perfect way of explaining Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Thank you very much. I'm also sorry I'm a little bit sick today, so you know I hardly came for the class. But please, if you have any questions, any comments, I will be more than happy to answer that. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much. That was a wonderful class. I really especially appreciate how everything you said you referenced and backed up with scripture. But I was wondering, it was such a fascinating, I had never heard about Śukadeva being the parrot of Srimati Radharani, and I was wondering, yes, where did you get that information? I'd like to look at it and learn more.
Well, you have on several places actually in the Shastras, you have that Śukadeva Gosvāmī was the parrot in previous life, and then his name was Shuka, and even, let me just see, just a second. Is there anybody who knows exactly the source? It's written also in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam or something like that? I will tell you that I have this is the Skanda Purana. This is the one article they printed for Vrindavan Gurukul from Skanda Purana, and there is the story, the name of the preschool is Gopal Fan School. So basically they printed from Skanda Purana the story about Śukadeva Gosvāmī, and it's actually explained very well exactly the full lila about Shuka, about the parrot who was going and everything else. So this is where I got. But if somebody else also knows some other source, it will be nice to. I was just trying to find something new and something interesting for everybody to share. Yes.
Thank you again, Prabhu. That was a pure Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam class.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Yes,
Prabhuji, we know the theory part that the morning program we need to attend from Mangalarti, then Guru Puja, then Bhagavatam. We know that in theory part. But when you want to practice, that some portion are left out. I think that due to the conditioning or the bad habits of previous lives or this life, we are not able, especially I'm talking about myself, that not coming out of that conditioning.
Yeah.
So how to do that, how we can be more determined and out of that conditioning stage? Yes.
I can tell you a very interesting answer to that question, because I was thinking about it just a few days ago. We were having some New Year celebration, and Kaunteya Prabhu, he gave quite interesting short talk about New Year resolutions. And he was saying that in 85% of cases, New Year's resolutions failed. And they're failing because we put too high resolutions. You know, something, for example, that we don't perform at all or perform very little, then we want full maximum next year. And it's very low chances that we will do the same thing again and again until end of the year. And then he was saying that, for example, if we don't chant at all, it's not realistic that, okay, next year we're going to chant 16 rounds from 1st of January until 31st of December. So better to start with smaller realistic goals and slowly to build up. Same thing with reading, he mentioned. You know, if somebody doesn't read at all, and or reading little bit, very little, it's not realistic that from today he's going to read like 1 or 2 hours per day every single day, because he failed so many times in the previous year. So it's better to start with some smaller realistic goals, and when feels ready, then to lift up that number more and more. And this is actually the best way of going back into full sadhana, into full shape. And then he was saying, please don't quote that Kaunteya Prabhu said, Kaunteya Das said that you should not read 1 hour or you should not chant your full rounds. No, it's not that. Definitely you have to do it. But there are few ways how to do that. For some devotees it's possible. Okay, I didn't chant for 1 month, I'm starting from tomorrow, I'm going back into my 16 rounds. But it's not possible for everybody. Sometimes we have very strong minds which are suffering, and we need to find a way to trick them. So slowly to cruise up. I remember one time, Pankajangri Prabhu, you know, we was talking here outside behind the long building, and I was holding my daughter, she was grade 2, and I was asking how to convince my daughter to start chanting. And then he was telling me, you know what is best for children? Which grade they are, that many rounds they should chant. You know, it was very interesting because for the first time my daughter was, yes, I told you, there is a way, because she was just grade 3, so she just chant 3 rounds. It was better for her, because I wanted her to chant immediately, you know, maximum, but different children are different ways. So I think that the same system applies for adults also. Of course, you should not do 1 more round per year, because we don't have that much time when we are in adult age, but at least, you know, to increase every week 1 more number until we don't come to the 16, and possibly to increase that 16. 16 is minimum numbers, you know, but I personally feel that for us in the Holy Name is very important reading. You know, reading is something which me personally is bringing a lot of inspiration. Every time when I'm down or I feel that I'm doing something wrong, if I go into the nectar of the knowledge, then I start putting myself together very much. Of course, chanting is there, but reading, remembering the Lord on such a way, this is amazing cure and amazing medicine. And after that, it's more easy to make the New Year resolutions and to start again performing devotional service in the proper way. So I guess that can. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, it was
Hare
a
Krishna,
very a thoughtful class that made me think, so I appreciate that.
Yes.
This comment of a pure devotee who has no other desire than to serve the Lord. So my question is about service.
Yes.
So what's, you know, is there a difference in services? You know, like, you know, I've heard that the pujaris, they go straight back to Godhead, but I was just thinking, you know, and then you hear it's best to serve devotees.
Yes.
So I just wanted to get some understanding about service.
Yes. One time when Śrīla Prabhupada was in Mayapur, he was walking around with several devotees, and with him was also Jayapataka Mahārāja and there was few devotees there, like 3 or 4 devotees, as I remember the story, and they were checking campus. And this was one of the regular activities of Śrīla Prabhupada. He wanted to see that everything is going right. And they just finished the Lotus building. Basically, it was, as I remember, just after Gurpurnim festival, when they just finished the long building. And devotees were staying, devotees were gone, and then Śrīla Prabhupada wanted to check how is building built, because there was not much time. And he was checking around how clean are toilets, how clean is this, and then they came to the roof of the long building there. And Śrīla Prabhupada was seeing one devotee who was just cleaning by himself. Nobody was watching him, you know, he was just doing, and Jayapataka Maharaj told him, actually, this devotee is coming every morning alone Nobody is even asking him to do the service, and he's cleaning the roof and the toilets and the different places. And then Srila Prabhupada gave that quite famous statement. He was saying that that person maybe even have more chances to go back to the spiritual world. So it's not exactly which service we are performing, it's how we are performing it. And it's not even, now I'm adding this part through experience, it's not even how much we are giving, it's how much we are keeping for us in our pockets. So basically those who surrender, even if they do the simple service, if they do it in the right mindset, if performance is perfect, that's a perfect example of service. And those even who are doing the highest level of service, if they're still, you know, they have some reservations and they have some doubts, they're doing their best, yes, but doesn't mean that they're performing the better service. If you're on the altar next to Archamurti deity, right, the deity form of the Lord, doesn't mean that I'm already automatically pure devotee. It means that I have a good chance. Same for us, you know, some devotees are sitting right now in San Francisco, some are sitting in Tanzania, some are sitting in Australia, right? And we are here in Mayapur. And for all of them, we have much better chances to purify, because there, it's a little bit strange sometimes when you see somebody with japamala on the street. Here it's very strange when you see somebody who doesn't have japamala. You're thinking, what is happening with this, my friend? You know, everything okay? Corona? What? So the point is that we need to, yes, circumstances could be better, but that's not guarantee that we are going back to Godhead. Only what is guaranteed is actually what is happening in our heart, and that completely, entirely depends on our desire. Entirely depends on our basically connection with the Lord. The two most important things we have to avoid if we're living in Holy Dham, there are two different. One is Vaishnava Parad, of course, and another is Holy Dham Parad. We need to know those apparats. We need to repeat them all the time. We need to be careful what we are doing, how we are doing here, because being on the holy place also takes responsibility. It's a big responsibility. So also being on the altar, it's bigger responsibility that, for example, I don't know, just cleaning the courtyard. And bigger responsibility requires bigger level of consciousness. I know when I was doing some little bit management here, there was some obliged sadhana. We was even writing when we are coming to the temple, how many rounds, and everything. Visible sadhana, yes, I'm sorry. So the point is it was necessary, because when you're doing management, for example, you're receiving so many different informations, which sometimes can contaminate the consciousness. If you're not on high level of consciousness ready to receive all that and to purify through the filters, that definitely affects the consciousness, and some things are happening unwanted in our life. Same thing is with any service. And I don't think really that it depends on service so much. Everybody wants to be close to the deity department, everybody. But believe me, it's not about which service we're performing. It's actually how we are doing it. It's our attitude in performing service for the Lord. So this is, yeah.
Thank you. That was really heartfelt. Thank you. I have another question, if it's okay.
Yes, please.
Just something in the purport that I was a little concerned about. Again, it's talking about the pure devotees who have no other desire to do service. Only in the association of such devotees are the transcendental glories of the Lord Kṛṣṇa properly discussed.
Yes, properly discussed. That means discussion is okay, but is it really proper? If we are discussing, because two devotees, for example, discussing who are not on the highest level of consciousness, it's auspicious, it's good, but it's not proper. We always make mistakes. We always make something that doesn't give us to the highest level of the consciousness. That's why I heard explanation actually that it's always nice when devotees discussing between themselves to have the book ready with them, because the book is also it's a teacher. It's a guru. You know, this book is not a book. It's not a paper. It's not the printout. It's actually the person who wrote the book. Who was, so if Srila Prabhupada is in that equation, or Srila Vyāsadeva, then that brings another dimension. Then it's coming to the higher level. So devotees, they have to be very intelligent, very smart, to avoid all these mistakes in devotional service. Instead of trying to do everything ourselves, we are giving everything. We just need to use it, all tools. I mean, Srila Prabhupada will literally digest the full devotional service path for us. We just need to follow, and we are on the safe and secure way. Doesn't matter what we are doing, and definitely we are going back to spiritual world. And Srila Prabhupada promised those who are honest and sincere in devotional service, I will come personally to take them for the hand and to bring them back to the spiritual world. And this is something amazing. Same like many devotees are saying, oh, this Kali Yuga, oh, look this war, or look that war, or look what's happening with ISKCON, or look what is happening at the moment. You know, those are temporary stories. We need to remember that Krishna, beginning of this Kali Yuga, actually he promised Mother Ganges that since Mahaprabhu came, the golden age of Kali will definitely happen in this Kali Yuga, not another Kali Yuga, but this Kali Yuga. And it will happen. We should believe in that. And that's why even now what is happening in the moment is just one step closer to spiritual revolution. So that's why we have to be very happy and optimistic, and just to help those who are trying more to perform their services better, to help those who are taking more responsibility, to make them life easier, and those who are not performing anything, to inspire them to do something. And this is actually how we can really help each other and going higher all together. Bhakti-yoga is not just individual process. We need to work as a team. We need to work not as a group. You know, group means different people doing different things. And team means same mindset, same goal, same consciousness, and same path. We are going all together and helping each other in synergy. That's a team. So, you know, we as ISKCON devotees, ISKCON is just a word. We as a group devotees performing the same spiritual principles, we need also to work and cooperate as a team. It's very important. And that will help us a lot, because we are not on the level of Śukadeva Gosvāmī or Mahārāja Parīkṣit. We can try to go in that direction, and it's fantastic, but definitely there's something special, something different. Thank you very much, Sadhana.
Thank you so much.
Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.